when all your options are bad and you just choose a bad option that like still looks better, that's still better than a bad option who looks bad. But when you can choose a good option who also looks good, that's a good thing. And that's what they did.
And yeah, that's a really fair point. Yeah. I regret having neglected that in my first thought.
Nobody's perfect. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Not everything, just most things. But guys, thanks so much for joining me here today to discuss this rather positive, good news story. It felt good to have something nice to talk about. And thank you, watchers and listeners. What does this story do for you? Does it give you hope for the Anglican Church? Tell us about it below in the towel section down there. And if you would like to hear more from the nonprofits, click over below. Welcome to the Nonprofits. I'm Stephen Harder, along with my co-hosts Eli Slack and Flabbergasted. Today we have a story about how power, trust, and religious authority can delay justice for decades, and what it takes for truth to finally be heard. Robert Morris, founder and former pastor of Gateway Church in Southlake, Texas, has admitted to a decades-old child sexual abuse. He pleaded guilty in an Oklahoma court to 5 counts of lewd acts with a child. The victim, Cindy Clemishire, says that the abuse began in 1982 when she was 12 years old, and Morris was a traveling evangelist staying with her family. The plea follows years of silence, a public accusation, and Morris's resignation from one of the largest megachurches in the United States, with more than 100,000 members across multiple campuses and online services. This article was written by Jamie Stengel of the Associated Press and updated on October 2nd, 2022. Eli, this case has been in the news for a while now. What was your first reaction when you finally heard that he pled guilty?
Well, I actually remember talking about this when it first came out, like when the story first came out, before the charges were even filed or pressed or like fully processed. And I remember his attitude at the time being like, because somebody had spoken with him by that point, and his attitude sort of came across as like, well, like I've already, the church and God forgave me for this. I've already repented for this. Why is this coming up again? So to hear that he did plead guilty, I was like, okay, like, sure, like maybe now the victim will finally get some justice after, I think, 35 years, 1982, I'm bad at doing math quickly right now, 43 years. I think is when it began 43 years ago. And now, finally in 2025, she'll get some justice perhaps. But I don't know if we're talking about like his actual sentence later, but the fact that she's getting justice, I disagree with.
Right. Yeah. And it just like, I just realized now, like, oh, I wonder, like, does the statute of limitation affect any of this at all? That was one angle that I didn't look into. Did I come up for either of you, or is she doing okay that way?
I didn't actually think about it. I think if the charges went through and were filed, I think, yeah, perhaps, I don't know. Maybe that would come up in the defense. I'm not a legal anything, so
Legal Eagles. Flabbergasted, you've talked before about hypocrisy among religious leaders. It's almost like it's a theme that crops up from time to time. Did anything stand out to you this time, or did it just seem like same laundry, different day?
Yeah, just from time to time. Only every week is there an article about hypocrisy with religious leaders, and those are just the ones we cover. So like again, I feel like I said something very similar to this like less than an hour ago about how I shouldn't be surprised. Like I feel like I should be surprised. I feel like I should be surprised that this is happening, and it's just another situation of people pretending to hold moral authority and use that authority and wield it against others and against like these are the people who are most likely to be the perpetrators of harm and injustice, and they're going to stand there and pretend that they have the moral high ground. And look down upon, demonize, and criticize people who don't share their faith and their worldview. And I think the thing that really frustrates me, though, is that like this is a story that should be about the courage of a former victim. And instead, we're talking about the hypocrisy of a pedophile.
Yeah, absolutely. Like yeah, like it would be we should be taking these opportunities to celebrate and to try to take down some of the stigma and the walls and the barriers that are preventing people from speaking up. Walls that are only getting taller and thicker in our current day and age. Let's take a moment to just to be grateful that there are people like Cindy. Like she didn't need to put her name out in the public, but she decided to, and like we should be able to applaud her for that, and for being one of those way makers to try and break down some of the barriers that are being putting up to protecting women. Eli, this guy's lawyer has talked about forgiveness and atonement. What is your take on that line of defense? Has he what more does he need if he has forgiveness from God?
Right. And that's exactly like the sort of attitude that he seems to have been taking to it like this whole time. When the church that he was preaching at when he was abusing her first found out, it was because she told her father and he told the church. And they just like made him leave and go to like counseling and ask God really, really, really hard to forgive him. And once he did that, he was fine in the eyes of the church. No attention was paid, or no mind was paid, or consideration given to the well-being or the care of the victim, as far as was reported. And I don't think it's really like a far-fetched to think that wasn't the case in that environment. And now the fact that his actual sentence, it was, and I was trying to find it again here and having issues scrolling through it to find it, but he I think 6 months in prison is what he will actually serve, as well as a 10-year suspended sentence, right, which means that if he messes up later on and gets in trouble and gets arrested for something, those 10 years will be added on to whatever sentence he gets then, or he'll just do those 10 years then if that's not a jailable offense. And then he has to pay to the victim. There was an amount in here that it talked about, but he has to pay her some money, and like that's like his then that's supposed to be justice for her to be getting for what happened to her. And the defense for that and like the justification for that is like, well, he's already atoned for it. God has forgiven him. He understands what he did wrong. But like, do we believe he hasn't been doing this since then? Like, I know there's no evidence of that. I know there's no accusations of that necessarily, but that seems to be the pattern when we see things like this, is that it'll happen again and again and again. So hopefully with her bravery, if there are others that have been harmed by this person or others in this arena, then maybe they'll feel comfortable coming forward too.
Yeah. And I think, sorry. I was going to say, I think it's really important to point out that like people who commit these kinds of actions, people who are sexual predators, rarely commit once, especially if they haven't faced consequences. So like the idea that this is the only person he's ever harmed in such a way is unlikely. Like, we can't say that he did.
Yeah.
But we could come to the assumption that he probably did pretty comfortably.
And yet, do we think, like, what is the benefit of him seeing more time in jail, other than the fact that he is then removed from public where he can't harm others in this way? Like I don't know, is jail going to fix this? It's not going to fix the harm that he's done, or is there a psychological benefit to his victims knowing that he is seeing this form of punishment? I don't know. Like, I want justice for people who have been hurt and damaged, but I also know that the penal system isn't the be all end all to justice as well. Yeah.
I think it is important. Like the prison system we have is obviously atrocious and rarely solves the problems that we need. But if people don't face consequences, right? And consequences are different from punishment, right? If you don't face consequences for bad behavior, you are inclined to think that behavior isn't bad, and you are inclined to continue that behavior. If you see other people engaging in behavior and that most of us consider bad, but people aren't facing consequences for it, then you are less likely to see that behavior as bad, right? Anyone here who has kids, and I know I'm not the only one, know this, right? Anyone who I was a teacher for nearly 10 years, like that's part and parcel of how you manage classrooms. And that's what this is. At the very least, it tells people if you do this, there's going to be some consequence. You're not going to get away with it whole cloth if we find out about it. And it's not great, but it is better than nothing. It is better than just saying, oh, well, you apologize and paid her some money, so go about your merry way, because that definitely doesn't make the situation any better.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
Yeah. And if I can add to that real quick, just because, you asked about it, how is there a benefit to, to the victims that he's behind bars? And there is a statement here from the victim who had come forward publicly. So, and what is the AP doesn't normally name people who say they've been sexually assaulted, but she had come forward publicly and released a story. So, she says, justice has finally been served, and the man who manipulated, groomed, and abused me as a 12-year-old innocent girl is finally going to be behind bars. And I think, I don't really have the context, but I can imagine a statement like that taking place between the plea and the sentencing, in which she does not yet realize or isn't aware, or whatever the case may be, that his only time behind bars is going to be 6 months. Which, do I think that any punishment unto him is going to undo anything for her? No, but I think there is some benefit to that, and I think that's what they go with a lot, is saying like they'll never be able to hurt anybody again. This isn't going to happen to anybody else. No one will have to go through what you went through, and people tend to find relief, I think, in that idea. And for Cindy Clemenshire, that relief will only last 6 months.
Well, and I'm also reminded of how all of Sandy Hook and Alex Jones went down, and how they were able to kind of pit plaintiffs against each other. And to me, it seemed as though like there's no amount of money from that rotten potato that could have touched the harm that he did to them. But I feel like a little bit of justice would be better than no justice at all, right? And I feel like, especially when there's nothing that can touch the actual pain, that when you get anything, it's a significant win, because it's more than infinite zero. I wonder. I think.
Yeah.
Flabbergasted. Were there any? Is there any political shadow to this story, or is this all just churchy stuff?
Oh, I wonder why you'd ever ask that question. It's like the accused here. Well, he admitted to it. So the guilty party here is absolutely politically associated with presidential administrations. He served on a presidential religious advisory committee. And like, this is something that was addressed before, even if not legally, right? So it's not surprising that people may have known about this and allowed it to be overlooked. We see that happen a lot from, particular political persuasions where people are willing to overlook this kind of behavior because they align on other things, or because perhaps, the type of people that are going to hang out with a person like this are going to be the type of person who are okay with this kind of behavior, or likely engage in this kind of behavior themselves. So yeah, he wasn't just a preacher at a little small church. He was a preacher at one of the largest mega churches in the country. He was ridiculously wealthy as a result of that position, right? And he used his position as a preacher to take advantage of someone and to abuse them. And so, yeah, I mean, it's part and parcel, right? These things don't happen in a vacuum.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if he met any other political leaders on any other private island at any point. Like honestly, there's so many of these stories. They all just blur together for me. Like, oh yeah, which one was this one? Oh, this was a really big mega pastor church. Like I can't
which
tell
really big mega pastor church. Like,
Right.
yeah. Eli, when we think about like whatever, like we want to be cautious about the idea of guilt by association, but what lessons do you think political leaders should take from this about vetting and accountability when faith figures gain influence from your position in government? Like what's the solution there?
I think it's definitely prudent of anybody, especially public figures, especially those in governance, to be mindful of who they're associating with and how that reflects on them. I think your question was, what's the solution there?
Yeah, like if you're a government official, and like whatever, we don't want to like say that everyone who is religious should be kicked to the curb. Like they are just as much of a citizen, and you want to show them that they are valued. You've got a lot of Christians in your area of influence, and you want them to know that they are valued, even if you don't see eye to eye on certain things, and you want to bring in someone to help kind of guidepost what your religious constituents want. Like how do you find the right Christian voice to represent your constituents in your circle? Like what's the solution there?
I mean, that's really tough. I couldn't even begin to, because it just kind of requires knowing the things that the church keeps secret, or that the individual keeps secret. And like by the nature of secrets, it's very difficult to know them. So, but I think what would be, to bring back one of my favorite words, prudent, is to like, they can only know what they know and can't be held accountable for what they don't know. But then once they learn something, be like, oh, fuck that guy or gal or non-binary pal. But they like publicly and loudly distancing yourself from it and condemning those things is like, as we've seen many people fail to do with certain things. Like that's really that's the only thing we can expect from them once everyone realizes that they're associated with somebody that kind of sucks. Like, oh, hey, I didn't know either. My bad. Like, you probably did. Like, we're going to suspect that they did, but like, just stop associating with them. I don't know.
Well, and like, call a spade a spade. Like, grow a spine and do the right thing. Oh, wouldn't that be wonderful? Just have leaders who are able to do the right thing.
I have a little bit of a thing to add to that. I actually do think there is a potential solution to this kind of problem. It doesn't solve the problem wholly, but it does help. And part of it is, yes, people who are religious are much a citizen and as much should be fully welcome in society. We say that like they don't have that, and they don't have all the privileged position when they do. But ultimately, you don't platform someone because of their religious beliefs. You don't platform someone because of their religion. You platform someone regardless of it, right? So if you're looking for moral counsel, right, you platform them for their moral counsel, not for their religious stances, right? If you want to put someone up and say this person, if you are against abortion, if that's your platform, that's your moral stance, then you want to platform someone who talks about that from a moral position. Okay, do that. And chances are they're probably going to be religious. But if you do it because they're religious and not because of their position, you are going to end up in this problem more often than you would otherwise. There is no way to be able to always know everyone's dirty secret. There's no way to ever prevent yourself from associating with someone who you otherwise shouldn't have associated with. But you can make sure you are giving people positions because of their like actual merit and not because of their affiliations. And most importantly, when we talk about accountability, when they come out, you say something. You don't just brush it under the rug. You don't do what some people have done in the face of this specific controversy. The people who associated with them, they just don't talk about it. They pretend they didn't know them. They pretend that, oh, well, I don't know who that person is. Mm-hmm. No, if you want to take accountability, say that person was in my office. They shouldn't have been. I will look at the procedures in which I have to investigate people I bring into my office, and I have represent me for these positions. So that way I can avoid this problem again. I denounce what they do. What they did was horrible, right? And I should not be associating with people like that. I want nothing to do with them. You can actually speak truth to power. You can open your mouth and say something instead of pretending like it didn't happen.
Yeah, totally.
And if I can add one more thing, and then reevaluate all the things they used to tell you when they were in your office and be like, did they have a goal? Did they have, were they doing that for a purpose that I don't agree with? And you can, in light of new information, you can do that and you can figure out what people were trying to do. It's easy.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder why this particular person who is now being convicted for, sexually assaulting a child was potentially suggesting that we should reduce the age of consent laws. That's a weird coincidence. Yeah. I don't know if he actually was, but I'm just saying,
hypothetically,
that is something that is happening in America. But
guys, this has been just another grain of sand in the conversation that we just gotta muscle through this and make things better. And thank you, dear watchers and listeners. I'm really curious, if you were in the boss of the biggest megachurch in America and you found this out about your pastor, what would you do? What would be your solution to this situation? I'm so curious. Drop it in the comments down below. And if you want to hear more from the nonprofits, you can also click down below.